What up is Marcus with Dynasty Football Dads. We still have this Jerry Jeudy signed jersey. It was almost eaten by my 5-month-old son, so please subscribe. We're getting closer to 1,000, and we'll be giving away to that 3 for somebody who is a subscriber. All right, so we are going to be talking about Micheal Carter. We're going to be talking about Trey Sermon. Where do we put these running backs? Really, it's one of the hardest decisions because we have kind of this biggest issue over the last couple of years of drafting running backs too early and they end up being way underperformers compared to the players around them. So let's just kind of go back 12 months when there was players like Keyshawn Vaughn, Zach Moss, players that I didn't like compared to the T. Higgins, the Brandon Ayuks. These wide receivers I had clearly ahead of Zach Moss and Keyshawn Vaughn, yet these players kept going ahead of them because teams are running back needy. Teams are desperate for running backs at times. And if you're a middle-of-the-road team, a lot of times you miss out on the playoffs because you don't have a running back. Or you end up losing in the playoffs because you don't have a running back. Like, that's sometimes one of the biggest scenarios, or one of the most common scenarios I see. So it's like, okay, do we draft Trey Sermon? Do we draft Micheal Carter? Because this happens every single week. We had Devin Singletary the previous year. We've had Justice Hill. Justice Hill's a little bit even way later about that. But we've had Devin Singletary. Every year we seem to have a running back. But everyone always wants one thing. And they want the Antonio Gibson. They want the Antonio Gibson, that late first, early second round running back that is going to end up being potentially a top 10 running back in Dynasty. And even a top 15 at this point. They are wanting that. And so where do we look at Trey Sermon? Where do we look at Micheal Carter? Of course, Trey Sermon gets drafted. They move up to draft Trey Sermon in the 3rd round. They also draft Elijah Micheal, though. Elijah Micheal out of Louisiana Lafayette. I like saying that, Louisiana Lafayette. And I love Elijah Mitchell's tape as well. I thought he was the James Robinson of 2021 here. And so my biggest issue with Trey Sermon is, A, they're going to split the ball with Raheem Mostert, who's not dead. Jeff Wilson, if he comes back healthy, I think Jeff Wilson will be in the mix. And I think Elijah Micheal is a good running back as well. It seems like San Francisco always has a curse on injuring running backs, even with Jerick McKinnon back. It seems like anybody that's on that field is hurt. And Trey Sermon is no stranger to injuries. But when it comes to, so first of all, the Trey Sermon versus Micheal Carter argument, I have Micheal Carter a sliver above Trey Sermon. And that is rare when you talk about 3rd round draft capital versus 4th round. There's a big usually line there. We do have some 4th round running backs early when it's the first couple of picks that do end up being something. And we're talking about the Devontae Freemans of the world. So we have to look at Micheal Carter. We see the opportunity. But we can't. I'll talk about these two compared to wide receivers in a second. Let's just compare them versus each other. Micheal Carter was the leading running back at North Carolina, not Javonte Williams. It was Micheal Carter, but you could clearly see Javonte Williams on tape was a better running back. And so that's the big thing, is like translating to the NFL, we saw that Javonte Williams was going to be an easy translation to the NFL. But Micheal Carter has kind of a clear path. We look at having Coleman there, Ty Johnson, anybody else that's going to be there. I mean, you look at Micheal Carter could easily be a good, valuable running back. The problem is the rookie years of some of these 4th rounders just doesn't look great, even with the opportunity, that being said. So we have to kind of go, okay, is Micheal Carter going to be different? And then you even look at the videos of, I believe it's Robert Salas, if I said that right, of him saying, man, we would have drafted him in the 3rd if we had that type of capital, but we didn't have a 3rd rounder, so we had to wait till the 4th rounder. And we just were, but these teams like the Jets, Atlanta, like these are teams that needed a running back, passed over Micheal Carter, which was surprising. So Micheal Carter, Trey Sermon, I think Micheal Carter on the head-to-head battle, I think Micheal Carter slightly ahead, basically for the reasons not that I said. It's basically just based on talent. I think Micheal Carter's more talented, and I think Micheal Carter has a better opportunity. So you have talent and opportunity on one side. I'm going to take that versus draft capital, which is usually the analytics. Say Trey Sermon, my mind, my vision of watching tape and just seeing the better running back, I'm going to go with Micheal Carter. And so I'm going to just put, this is maybe just another kind of note onto future. This is why sometimes it takes 5, 10, 15 years to accumulate information in the head, is because like now I'll remember this. Okay, if I have this kind of same scenario 3 years from now, 4 years from now, well, then I can make that determination, hopefully correctly the next time. But Micheal Carter is who I'm going to take. Now we got to figure out, well, what wide receivers am I going to take him ahead? Am I going to take him ahead of Bateman or Waddle or Elijah Moore or Rondale Moore, Terrace Marshall, Amon-Ra St. Brown? These are all different wide receivers around that area. Even Trevor Lawrence is a quarterback around that area. And I think that this is kind of like the situation of like, what else do you have? What other picks do you have? If this is your only pick, I am really hard-pressed to take him. I'm not going to be taking him ahead. I understand Bateman had a full month injury. I am slightly taking Bateman still ahead and Waddle ahead of these running backs. But that is where we start to lose kind of the I'm going to for surely take a wide receiver. Elijah Moore is like that last kind of wide receiver. And Rondale Moore's close, but it's like I'm okay with arguments against. I'm okay with arguments for Micheal Carter if you're desperately needing at running back, or Trey Sermon right around that area of the Moores. Elijah Moore, Rondale Moore, like arguments right in there. Do I have them ahead of them? No. In majority leagues, I'm going to be taking Elijah Moore or Rondale Moore ahead of Micheal Carter and Trey Sermon because I think those two prospects, honestly, this is the biggest example. Would you rather have T. Higgins or Zach Moss right now? Who would you rather have? Because I feel like that is what you're going to be determining right now. I feel like Zach Moss had all this kind of same hype. Was going to Buffalo. Yes, I did in Singletary there, but you're going to have these same type of things. Like, oh my goodness, opportunity, talent, draft capital, being a third rounder for Zach Moss. But you're going to have kind of the same issues, I think. Versus like a T. Higgins type, you're going to have a wide receiver like Rondale Moore, or you're going to have Elijah Moore, like in the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft. Basically, that's where they were taken. You're going to have a more talented wide receiver, which is not in as high a demand, versus a running back. I need to sneeze. Whoa. Hopefully you guys said bless you on the other side there. So, in a majority of leagues, again, unless I'm a super running back needy team, if I have other picks, I'm okay. Let's say if I have 108 and 201, or 108 and 203. I'm okay with then taking the running back need and then not punting on the position, but going after wide receiver later. That is knowing what you have and what you need at the same time. When I say always draft best player available, that is a general statement. But there's a big but. Also know what you have and what you're able to draft too. Because if your team needs running backs and you are, I guess, not to the point that you want to trade for a running back. Let's say I'm just going to go through the draft. I'm not going to trade for a running back. I can't trade for a running back. Whatever these statements are, then you can start doing different moves. Like you can start getting, okay, I'll just take the running back at 108. I'm going to pass on Bateman. I'm going to pass on Moores. Yes, I'm going to do that because I know in 5-6 picks, I'm going to probably still have hopefully one of those drop or the consolation prize of Terrace Marshall. Like that is kind of the situation that I'm going to be a part of. Like that's what you have to plan on for worst case scenario. And if you look at worst case scenario and go, yeah, I'm still okay with that. I'm still okay with Micheal Carter and Terrace Marshall versus Rashad Bateman and running back of no one, because there's no one in the second round. Like no one worth it. No one. Like Kenneth Gain will be the closest thing, and he's not worth the mid-second rounder. So it's like, if that's the best case scenario in the other league, it's like because Micheal Carter and Trey Sermon are going to be drafted right around that end of the first round, like or all the way up into 108, all the way probably low, like 202 is probably the lowest you're going to see one of those running backs fall, and that's just a bunch of teams need wide receivers and just go after talent. So again, Micheal Carter over Trey Sermon. We have most of the good tier 2 wide receivers that are all seeming to get hurt right now versus over the running backs, but I'm okay with taking a running back at this point over some of those wide receivers if you're in desperate need. Also, try to trade for a running back besides Trey Sermon and Micheal Carter, in my opinion. I think taking those picks plus 2022 gap, I just took 8 in a 2022 first and some other piece, some smaller piece, and I traded for 4. because I know what happens with 1 through 4. There's 3 running backs, and there's Jamar Chase and Kyle Pitts. That's 5. That's 5 people, and I get one of those 5, and I'm okay with that. I think there's a pretty big drop off from 5 on. You could say Devontae Smith, but Devontae Smith's hurt right now. So like you have to understand that your immediate capital is probably going to be lost a little bit. So 1 through 6, there's a pretty big, and I couldn't trade, and I didn't want to trade up. I wanted the chance of having Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams. Like I wanted that running back. And so I knew that 8, I didn't want to take Carter. I didn't want to take Sermon. Like that was my opinion. I was like, nah, I think there's a big gap between those two. So I want Travis Etienne. I want Javonte Williams. So I'm hoping Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase gets taken in the top 3 picks. And if not, then I get Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase. Woo! Like, okay, well, I would have either taken Michael Carter or I would have taken Rashad Bateman. And I think there's a big difference between that. And yes, I do give a 2022 first. I had 2 of them because I made a trade to get another one. Like sometimes you got to do that. You got to trade the assets to get another asset to make a trade. Like it was all part of a plan to get that number top 3, 4 pick. And I went for 3. 3 got shut down. I went for 4. Had to do some negotiation, add a little piece to it, but it made it work. All right. So again, this is Marcus Dynasty Football Dads. Jerry Jeudy signed jersey. Subscribe. Oh, Patreon. If you want to be a part of the league, I know it's 11 minutes in, you're probably not watching anymore. But if you want to be a part of a league, we have a couple spots left. I am now looking at draft day, potentially Labor Day. We are at August 16th, potentially Labor Day weekend. And if you're gone, I'm sorry, but I think Labor Day weekend. I think that's when we're going to do it because I think that's going to be just the best time for me and my family because I have drafts, live drafts, all of like the next 3 weekends. And so I don't want to piss my wife off too much. So again, this is Marcus Dynasty Football Dads. Peace out. See you tomorrow. Now turn